All right, we are live. I cut it off a minute short, 5 minutes long enough. Welcome, welcome. We have quite the guest panel tonight. Top left, Julia. Hello, Julia. Hans Dietrich in the middle. Just found out, a fellow former Calgarian. Across the aisle, we have ancient Historia Luke. Bottom left, Shem Jacobs hiding there, TArtarian Truth, and Elkman Ryan to the right.
What's going on?
I guess we'll start off with Julia and Hans. You got hooked up there with the research at Alien event in Vegas about a week ago or 2 weeks ago now.
A little over a week ago. Yeah, a week and a half ago. Correct.
Oh, Julia, you're muted, sister.
We did a show promoting the show, and I think he was like, "You're talking about Inner Earth. I focus on Mount Meru," and so it became kind of an instant bond. And remember when I was on the show while I was out there with you and Andreas, and I was like, "You guys, there was a gecko." I went to use the restroom in the morning in my hotel room, and I looked and I thought I was tripping, and I did it like a double take into the bathtub, and it's a gecko in the bathtub, like a baby gecko. And so I told everyone about it, and of everyone, I believe in symbolism and all of that stuff, and mysticism is that, and symbols that show up is no accident. And I thought it was so ironic that of all the other people, he had a gecko visit like 24 hours later in his bathroom in the same hotel when we were in completely different buildings too. So it's like, what are the odds, like the symbolism of that. And he grew up in Nepal and what he focuses on. So there's like a tie there. And he's a Virgo like Luke. So he's thorough. Because like after my presentation, of course, I want to go to a Virgo and be like, look, criticize it.
Give me your criticism.
So I was like, hit it hard. What was it? The slides? Like, was it, you know what I mean? Because a Virgo will tell you, Virgos see everything that's wrong, but what's brilliant about Virgos is they see all kinds of solutions and how to improve things. So a lot of people can't handle Virgos criticism because it hurts their feelings, but they're gold in that sense of like, I see the solutions and the answers.
Nice, absolutely, right? Is Jeremiah Virgo by chance?
He's a Taurus. Jeremiah's a Taurus. Okay. So is Darkstar.
Like the thoroughness of it and the brutal honesty, and that's what's needed, because it's like in these fields of research that's supposed fringe, you don't get the academic peer review. So you need the brutal honesty of fellow researchers and friends in the community. Always.
Absolutely.
Shout out Jeremiah.
Correct. Yeah. So it was awesome to go to Alien event and meet with Julia and so many of the other presenters there. Wow. Amazing to get my work out there as well. So super excited about that. And we had this weird gecko moment in the morning. The next morning, I'm like, wait a second, here's a gecko in my bathroom as well.
We'll have to look up what the spirit animal or representation of the gecko is. That's
right.
Always the synchronicities. So what field specifically of alternative research stuff are you working on now, Hans? And what's like your background in looking into stuff?
I'm a graphic designer by nature. I do a lot of graphic design work for multiple corporations worldwide. But my real passion is esoteric knowledge, ancient sites, civilizations, and occult symbolism found in corporate logos, media, and as well. So, yeah.
Do you put occult symbolism in the logos you make for the corporations?
Depends on the client, but yes.
Interesting.
Nice.
Well, there was things, you guys, okay, everyone, most people that are watching are Tartarians, fellow Tartarians. I love you, your family. But Hans, I noticed when I went to his presentation, which I was thinking, like, it was really early in the morning. I'm like, I'm in Vegas. make it, like, in my mind. Sorry, Hans, but I was like, there's no way in the back of my mind, but I made it, and
You did.
I was there. But so what I noticed is that I felt like there were certain keys to like that Hans is focused on that he would benefit from learning about the Tartarian information that most, everyone here like knows. So because he lived in Nepal, he focused on the Dropa, and he wrote a book on the Dropa, and what he's focused his research on. So I was like, oh, perfect. I need to like hook these worlds up.
Right. So the Dropa, like there's the Dropa. Is it the Dropa stones, correct, or is that the Dorpa stone? Something?
No, you're correct. It is the Dropa stones, and so there's the Dropa people, the Dropa stones, but then the Dropa itself is a transliteration that stems across literally from central China, which was far eastern Kham Tibet, all the way through to the Caspian and Black Sea area, where they go from the Dropa to the Zopa to the Drokpa, where you find them in Bhutan, northern India, Nepal, to the Brokpa, where you find them in Ladakh, going into some of these other regions. And so it's the same people. It's just a transliteration of the name, and a fascinating culture that was forced out of that area of Tibet in 1950 when the Chinese invaded Tibet. And so who are these people?
Were they one of the groups of people who met up yearly in the past in Tibet to have some sort of ritual with all the different tribes that the Germans filmed in the 1930s?
Correct. Sorry, what?
The Germans went over there and filmed them apparently in like the last ritual where they met up in the 1930s or something.
Yes. And so these are all the different cultural groups. Far Eastern Kham Tibet, the Bayan Kara Ula, the Bayan Harshan mountain range. This is where it all began. And so now it's central China, but it used to be Eastern Tibet. And a lot of these people came out of this region, especially after 1950, as I said, when China invaded Tibet and forced a lot of these people to become nomadic and venture out. And
so were the Dorpa people like
Dropa.
Up to the Dropa? So they're up to about World War I, World War II, I guess the end of World War II, where they got displaced, but they're more modern people. How far back does their history date, and how old are the Dorpa stones? Because my memory serves correct, they're like at least thousands, but weren't they a couple, or is that something else?
So there's, wow, that's a good question.
The Sintamani stone?
So 20,000 years ago, according to my teacher in Bhutan, there were 4 gifts that came from Sirius. It was the Sintamani stone. Then you have the Vajra Dorje, which is hold on a sec.
The Vajra is a lightning weapon?
It is. So it's
wow.
This is fascinating because the first thing you brought up, that's
4-sided. Most of them are 2-sided, but the 4-sided Vajra Dorje represents the 4 elements of the world, the 4 winds or cardinal points. And so this is kind of a Vajrayana Dorje, or Vajrayana Buddhism, which is what the Vajra Dorje represents. But then you also have the singing bull. I thought I brought it over here. I didn't. Oh, well. So we also have, the singing bull, right? And so when it oscillates, it creates a transcendental meditation state of enlightenment that practicing meditations will go into. And then you have the last item from the 4 gifts, which is the stone, which is a circular disc. It has Om Mani Padme Hum, the mantra engraved within it. Padme Hum means the jewel within, the sacred flower. And so the flower obviously is the lotus, which is the crown chakra, which is what is stated in the mantra.
So was this historically a matriarchal society?
Question. Possibly.
It's so funny. My name's Julia, and I just got blue. Like I got the seeds for a blue lotus flower, lotus lily, the blue lotus flowers. I can't wait to grow them and try them.
So when you said the stone name, your internet skipped out or something. I didn't hear the name of the stone for the fourth gift. The fourth gift.
Centimony stone, the Vajra Dorje, the singing bowl, and the last item is the Omani stone. And the Omani stone has Omani Padme Hum engraved in it. Omani Padme Hum means the jewel within the flower, the sacred seed. And so if the flower is the crown chakra, which is the lotus, then the jewel is the seed of consciousness, which is your pineal gland. Outside of this, the lotus flower and the pineal gland both has small amounts of DMT daily, and so a practitioner or meditator would go into that state of transcendental consciousness and pull this out and be able to astral project. And so that's kind of where a lot of that came from. Anyway.
Oh, this is amazing, awesome stuff, and like we all study fascinated going into the different esoteric metaphysical sciences, knowledge and teachings of the Orient and the East, and that you've got just this wealth of experience, knowledge from your time in Nepal there. Do you maybe want to get into a bit of how you got out there, where it all started, and how you got to Calgary, and now you're in Oregon?
My father was in Nepal in the early 60s. He was in the Peace Corps. My uncle became my uncle. His name was Willie Unsold. He climbed Mount Everest in 1964. He did pickaxe and crimping iron all the way up the West Ridge, which a lot of people, I don't think anybody's done it since, but Uncle Willie Unsold. And so Peace Corps, my dad met my mother, married, and then they went back to Nepal in the 70s. My dad did his doctoral dissertation in a very remote village called Sikrung. It hangs off of a cliff, literally, above the Gorkha District Valley, which is where the episode 2 earthquake in 2015 happened. It was like right there, kind of interesting and sad. A lot of this stuff was disrupted and destroyed. Sikrung Village, super amazing. So I turned 4. I moved back to Nepal with my parents, and then I lived there literally until I was 19. So, yeah.
Sorry to remind that tragedy, and that's a whole other podcast, but the cause of it's no coincidence CERN is the exact antipode of Nepal, and that they fired it up at that exact
Tum Tum. Hans, that place Tum Tum, the pyramid in that where Osmanagich went to. Like Osmanagich, and Hans, we were all at the alien event in Vegas, and then he was on his flight, and Osmanagich flew, and they were on a plane, and his friend Han, he was going to go visit. Osmanagich was going to go visit this pyramid, who and the guy who was hosting him is Hans's friend, and he actually climbed Tum Tum and found human remains on the.
Good reminder. So there's a mountain that's, God, I want to say it's about 55, 60 miles north of me here in Portland. It's in Washington State. It's called Mount Tum Tum. Look it up. Mount Tum Tum is a pyramid. It's very similar to what Dr. Sam Osmanovich has found in
Bosnia.
In Bosnia, yeah. And so it's kind of built into the land. It's terraced. I climbed it. I bushwhacked it with a friend of mine probably 6 years ago now, and it was really fascinating going up it. The backside of it is still there's a forestry company that grows trees there for basically down in the near future, and so there's been a forestry project there for a while. but the front side of it is very different. And so it's very terraced. It's like old growth forest still there. And you got to wonder what's going on. So, yeah, there it is. Bingo. Yep.
Beautiful. That's exactly what we love looking into.
But you found bones though, like human
Yeah,
bones.
when I bushwhacked up it, my friend Song and I found bones in the morning. Yeah, about halfway up it.
And they weren't giants; they were just like regular sized humans.
They were human bones, just remains.
Whew.
But this spot, yeah, you can look at it. This is what you see when you drive up to it. It's pretty amazing. It's, oh my God, what is this?
We were laughing. Me and Hans were laughing of like if somebody was like telling us Monagitch, like it is, you know, like, oh, tell something. Yeah, that's a hill. We're like, no, wrong.
Wrong.
It is pyramid.
Exactly. So my friend Sean, actually, I think is hosting him right now up there. It was funny. I was at the airport leaving Vegas, and there's Dr. Sam. I'm like, oh my God, Sam, how are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm going to Portland. Really? So am I. Okay.
Do you know anything about the natives in that area around that alleged pyramid?
They used to use it's on a river, and so they used to use this as a landmark where they would do trading.
So, do they have any legends about its construction or where its origin?
I have not looked into it as much as Sean has. So Sean Mahoney is like spot on with it. I brought this up in a podcast.
Columbia River.
Yeah, he called me out, and he's like, "Oh my God, dude, I've been here several times, and I totally think this spot is the whole 9 yards." And so he does like star mapping on top of it, where he will like pinpoint different spots around it, and it's like, okay, there's something here, all based on this star chart or this, yeah. Interesting.
On the old maps, that is around about the place that they used to think that there was 7 cities of gold, the kingdom of Chilaga, under King Tartarax.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah, it's an amazing spot.
That 7 cities in this world.
When you drive up to it, you're like, this is a pyramid. There's no way it isn't. I mean, it has cardinal directions. It's
right, like the ones that are pyramids, and I have no doubt that this one is, and you're stating the cardinal points on its alignments being a key giveaway, that this time of year during the equinox as well as the solstices, well, especially the equinox, the sun should rise right in the middle and set right in the middle and be right overhead at noon. And it's the perfect time to get pictures of the shadows of them and confirm just another piece of evidence to confirm.
Sure, yeah.
And
it's right there. I
need to tell us more about these Sirius objects. I want to know where do these magic objects come from? Well, obviously Sirius, but where then did they go?
Please show again. Please show the stone, if you don't mind. I've got you highlighted, Hans.
This is actually a bi-disc. It's considered
the first record ever.
It's considered the first the size of what a Dropa stone is. The hole in the center is a little smaller. This has Proto-Chinese glyphic writing on it. I've had this for quite a while.
Has anyone tried putting it in a record player?
That's funny.
A quantum computer, I think, more likely.
When you do oscillation testing, you don't actually. This is the funny part about the documentary series is they're like, oh, they tried to put on a record player and play it to do harmonic oscillation. That's not what you would do. You would attach electrodes to it and then see if there was a pulse coming from it through your sensors.
Is it magnetic?
So, the one I have is just jade. It's a very different stone. Jadeite would be more magnetic because jadeite is a granite that has jade infusion in its matrix. They also found cobalt and they found mercury. And so if you put granite under super pressure, you're going to create a piezoelectric effect, kind of like what our own bones do. And under pressure. But the piezoelectric effect is then going to be charged into the cobalt and mercury, and so you're going to have a battery. You're going to have some sort of a memory device within a circular stone, and so started doing testings on these in the Soviet Union, and they realized that, oh my God, there is a harmonic frequency going through this, and so it looked like they had been exposed to massive amounts of electrical current.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Hans, because like I made a meme. I don't know if you saw it, because I was like looking into all the resources in Ukraine and what a treasure box is, and I was like, do we have any lithium in the United States? And it was like, yeah, on the border of Oregon and Nevada, there's some, and that's been a more recent discovery. And there was a huge massacre at that site, and there was actually fighting over being able to drill, whether or not to be able to drill in that site for that resource. And I found it interesting, like a bunch of natives of this one tribe that I had never heard of before went there, and I don't know if they were protecting land, and that's how they got killed by soldiers or what, but they were at where the mine is, and like right there on the border of Oregon and Nevada. But yeah, what I was wondering if you knew about that.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because like central eastern Oregon is where we have massive uranium deposits. So don't want to get political or anything like this, but there was a controversy about this many years ago with uranium-1 and some of the other characters that were holding up farms at that time, and nobody put the two together. But it's like, oh my God, it's so evident that what was happening was a lot about this uranium.
It always has to do with the resources.
Yeah,
always.
seriously.
Every
Well, even living in South Asia, my God, it's resource hoggery is everywhere. Yeah.
Right, but that's why we got to document as much of it before they destroy it. And fascinating, like the uranium, anything that's like radioactive, I always suspect that there's got to be something buried beneath that's like still active, or that they're mining out. And that I'm not sure, Hans, how much you've seen of the research these days into what are called star forts, star cities, these ancient citadel cities. They're known as the bastion forts, but we find them that these oftentimes there's the artificial coastlines or river lines the whole way, these the canals, and that they're identical, make to these like 3 to 4, sometimes even 5 stories of essentially megalithic bastion fort structures, and that when you follow them on maps, like the canals or the paths and whatnot, that where you should find the next one, or on maps where they say there used to be them, oftentimes there's just massive mines / quarries there now. We have Shem back. Shem, what do you have up on screen for us, good sir?
This is just we were looking at that Tum Tum Mountain. These are a couple examples I just wanted to show quickly.
It's considered a cinder cone, but man, it's
a volcano, or is it man-made?
That's the question.
I thought you said it was a pyramid.
Well, that's what we're saying. We're saying officially it's a cinder cone. We're going with
that's what they want to call that, but it's been terraced, so it could be a landform.
Yes, please go more into the terraces there that you've experienced, because that is something I found everywhere where I've explored.
So it's layered. It's terraced all the way up it. It's been used several times for forestry projects, so there could be a bit of that going on there. But a lot of what my friend and I discovered it seemed very old and abandoned on the other. Like the west side of it. And so the question is, what is it? It's considered a cinder cone, but this is the same question about what's going on in Bosnia as well. And so these are landforms that are repurposed.
So this is Mount Ararat, is it, in Turkey? The Pyramid Mountain.
This
is
is Nimrud.
yeah.
The other one was Gordium, and these are man-made structures,
right.
according to mainstream history.
Yeah.
According to mainstream history, these are man-made objects. So if you're speculating that that other thing was a pyramid, it's possible. I mean, and then we have the Herodium, which I'll pull up in a second, in Israel, which is even bigger than both of these. I think this is massive, by the way. What we're looking at here, I think I measured it.
This one has all the fallen statues in front of it, right? Correct?
Yes, sir. That they've now built the casts of them and built a little museum next to it, and I believe are starting to excavate the pyramid, and that it's officially a pyramid. Turkey, that just the whole area, Anatolia, and like
I'm fascinated with Göbekli Tepe, and now the new one that they found, TArtarian Tepe or whatever. Yeah,
right. Which supposedly goes back all the way to 30 or 40,000 years. At a couple of the parts of Karen Tepe that, like the oldest part, I guess, that they've been able to date of it, just ridiculously old. And then Derinkuyu, the underground city, is also in that area.
Love to see that. Oh my God, seriously. Going to Egypt, even Egypt has underground structures that you would never know that were there. I mean, under Giza Plateau, there's 10 layers of, if not more, semi-car like dimensions of tunnels that go 18 kilometers into the Western Desert. Well, what were they doing there? They're bringing water to the Giza Plateau, but they're bringing it through multiple layers. And it's like, oh my God, who's building this? When? Why? What's the purpose?
Right, and the scale of macro terraforming that's required in all of these instances and cases, it's absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And so I'll quickly bring up.
Oh, what's this spot? Oh my God!
This is Red Rock Coulee in Alberta, southern Alberta, right outside Medicine Hat, that I visited this summer, and it seems like it's got some pyramidal structures and these giant red balls everywhere, but definitely very mound-like suspect site. That could be buried structures, and at the very least pyramid mounds. Just looks like it got obliterated at some point, and I don't buy the official narrative of these giant stones.
They're erratics.
Right, exactly. They're erratics, but they try to claim that they floated to the top of the soil. And it's like, no, these things definitely got buried or freaking carried there. They're coming out. I don't know. It's very strange.
This is north of Red Deer?
No. South of Calgary. It's just west of Medicine Hat. So this area, Red Rock Coulee, is just west of Medicine Hat on the Crow's Nest Highway, the number 3. And then the next site, so this is one Badlands to the west. This is Badlands to the east of Medicine Hat. Alberta, and here you can see all the layers of terraces, the parallel terraces on every single hill here. Just terrace after terrace after terrace. And Hans, I'm not sure if you're have ever heard of the Medicine Hat Badland Guardian site, the native faces that you can see from above.
I know of them now, but when I lived there, I had no idea. Yeah.
So these are the hills that make those up. They're every single hill face that makes up those faces is terraces. These are those terraces. These are pictures I took of it this past June when I went there.
Wow. All right.
And then This is another site, Mount Yamaniska in K country there, Kananaskis country, just outside of Banff National Park, that I found. I believe we've got these two guardians here. They've got faces on them. They're probably a couple 100 feet in height. Some more guardians next to them, and then this path up to what is this chiseled pathway and staircase in the cliff behind it. There's actually,
my God, wow, really? Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Wow,
this
you got
is-
a lot of vision here, don't you?
Seriously, this is awesome.
So the path stairs goes up into this cliff area, or the cave area with potential entrance in, and then there's a second cliff cave stairway carving that goes into this cave over here on the left side of the Guardians. So there's stairs and carved pathways on both sides behind these Guardians at Mount Yamaniska. Potential mountain city or underground path and city.
Those red balls look exactly like the ones near me too. Like if you share my screen, they look the exact same thing. Like is that near water source?
Not at all. They're in these dried up badlands on top of hills and what look like pyramids and mounds. So
But we feel like it's
opposite.
irrigation, like beneath the surface. We feel like there was water beneath the surface.
Plus, if they're growing rice there too, they would need a ton of water. We speculated about that in the past.
Right, yeah. Wow.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that all of the terraces, or that I've at least found at the sites that I've investigated, are leftover former agricultural terraces. That
We have to keep in
Some-
mind too, the 5 civilized nations or 6 nations of America and Canada. Basically, they were like they
There's
farmed
something
rice.
I wanna
while
bring-
America farmed rice, so it's very possible.
Something I want to bring up now, because Shem is here and he focuses on mounds. And when I was actually just relaxing, reading a crop circle book when Luke had reached out and said, "Hey, you want to do a stream tonight?" And I happened to be on the page, which I find like so synchronistic, where it is a pictogram of a crop circle. But if you look at it, it's pointing towards a mound in the Neolithic mound of Stillbury Hill. Look at this.
Wow, what do you think the symbol is?
Gotta be some sort of, I believe, astrological calendar. But Hans, what do you think?
Oh, similar in a sense. Yeah, no. Obviously, a lot of these sites definitely deal with astrological structures, whatnot. You were talking about star farts earlier. In calm eastern Tibet, there are these towers that nobody knows what they're for. Most of them are half broken down, but they're all arranged in a astrological pattern, and they're all star forts in a weird way. So,
Didn't you say that was Silbury or whatever mound? Silbury,
where is that?
England, right by Stonehenge. Is that where that's at?
Julia, where is that?
Because if that's the one by Stonehenge, that ties into the astrological things you're talking about. You're muted, Julia.
It's in East Kennet, but it's pointing at the Neolithic mound of Stillbury Hill.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, Silbury Hills.
And
That's the one
it
that's
just
in
seems
England.
like with everything with what I gather remote viewing and stuff, it's always about the water source beneath. And with the crop circles, there's always some kind of aquifer or something beneath the surface. So I'm like, are they programming the water? Is this less about like, hey, I want to program humanity with these symbols? Are they programming their water?
Interestingly,
structured.
I've done quite a bit of work on the hill forts around Britain, which is probably what that kind of is, and the connection to the water and the way that it's used as a water catching system. Like, so at the top of a mountain, you get a lot of wind and rain. So if you're at the bottom and you've got your crops, and obviously you rely on your crops, you see this wind and rain, and you see that it forms these tributaries coming down the mountain, but you also see that a lot of the water is soaking into the mountain, obviously evident by dripping through to caves and stuff. So they thought, wait a minute, a lot of water is dripping into this useless mountain that's got nothing on it but grass, mud, and rocks, and we need it all down here. So what if we go to where these tributaries are, and for starters, we dig out the ground and we put stones in so the water can run along the stones instead of running along the mud. And then there you go. So you've created a canal. And then they go, wait, how can we create this at the top? So they go to the top, they dig a big hole at the top of the mountain, and they start piling it with huge rocks. And this acts as a basin. And then they pile smaller rocks on top of that. So it ends up in a mound of smaller rocks on top of a basin of bigger rocks that leads to a canal, to an opening. These things, these drainage sumps, you'll find them all over the mounds, these sumps for the water to drain out. And that just creates this ability for all the water, instead of draining into the mountain, it drains into this rock basin and then down through this canal, and it'll come down to your crops, and you can then have farms on the way down. And you'll find it with all the hill forts and stuff in Wales in particular, that they've got these streams leading down from where this stuff's been created. So
This is similar to the rice paddies and a lot of the fields in Nepal, especially in the villages. So they'll find a upper water source, stream or something, and they'll canal it off, and then they'll build these multiple structures that go down, several thousand feet, that are all the rice paddies. And it's just like stream after stream after stream. That's interesting. Wow. Thank you.
I think it was I think it was Neolithic. Like, I'm talking these were thousands of years old, probably before 2000 BC. The people that built these are the same people that built Stonehenge and stuff like that. The cans. So it's real Neolithic stuff. I mean, these people knew how to move big stones before anything. It's absolutely insane.
These crop circles, the wheat crop, they're normally wheat crops, and they don't die. Like, they bend, but they don't die. So
yes,
it's like,
I've seen the bending, the way that they bend. It's different.
It's always
from being, like,
in
stepped on. Yeah.
And then they find these microgranule, like, metallic balls as well. So yeah, interesting.
It's always like a cosmic circle, the way it's like the spiral of how they bend.
Like a cosmic potato.
Bernie, where are your ums at? Bernie, give me 5 ums.
Don't do it, Bernie. She's tricking you.
Yeah, this is the part.
Why, are we gonna order? No, you need 6 or 7 to open the portal.
Hans, is that your bell? It was.
Stop umming.
One more, and what happens? Luke disappears. Luke bursts into flames.
I just get really drunk.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's allowed. Which one is this, Shem, that you got up?
Oh, that was the one that she brought up in the book that's by Stonehenge. So you guys are speculating that it could be have some sort of alignment to the stars.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah, something just happened.
I think the mic stand fell over.
But,
it looked sturdy to me.
Julia, are you okay?
We've lost everyone.
Sorry, I'm still here. I just girlfriend's on the phone. I will be back in one momento. Sorry about. Julia, where are you?
So, anyway,
What's up, everybody?
how you doing?
Right,
where is everybody located? Sorry,
I'm in a bunker.
Bunker. Looks like it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm in
safety
the
bunker, just in
heartland
case.
of America
Never
with a
know
mound
when it's
builder.
gonna kick off. What's
Mound
that, Shelly?
builder. I'm with the mound builders over in the heartland of America.
Yeah, the mound builders were everywhere. So this is the thing, right? I reckon there's a chance that the mound builders were like actually Denisovans or something, just because the level of movement of the size of this stuff, it just baffles me. Like the only way I could foresee it is if these were literal gorillas, just like lumping these things on their backs, because it's impossible.
Have any of you been to Peru or
Giant.
Egypt?
Not
No, I
yet.
haven't. Not yet.
Okay, so Peru, I went with my bullshit meter in the red and 100 questions, and I got to Cusco and I saw, Sacsayhuaman, and then going into the Sacred Valley, Ollantaytambo, and these sites blew my mind. I'm like, oh my god, what am I seeing here? It's hard to describe.
Did you talk with any of the natives?
They're all speaking Quechua. It was funny. I was there with my friend Yusuf from Egypt, and we met up with this Quechua woman named Martha Washington. She followed us everywhere. It was funny. She asked us a question in Quechua, and I picked it up in Nepalese, and he picked it up in Arabic, and we both answered her, and we all had a laugh because we all understood what she said in the answer, but none of us understood what she said in the answer. Anyway, it was a good time. Peru, amazing, beautiful. Yeah, sexy woman. There you have it on the screen. How is this stuff done? A lot of them are thought to be bags of sorts, but my God, I don't think so.
Yeah, geopolymer, a good possibility. Bob,
There is a
Green,
good possibility. Yeah.
If you've ever heard of the work of Bob Greenyer of the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project, he goes deep into explaining the methods and how they would have ground up the granite, the limestone, the different materials at the quarries, and then just used it as like a geopolymer cement, exponentially stronger than what we have today.
For some of that, yes, but going to Ollantaytambo and actually seeing where they cut stuff out of the wall and just left it sitting in situ.
Fair, right?
Yeah. And measuring it myself and seeing that there's like 2 millimeters of distance between where it fell out of the wall and is sitting in situ versus the wall. And okay, 2 millimeters of distance, that's a good cutting blade, whatever. How did they cut out the backside?
Right?
Sorry, that's my biggest question. How did they cut out the backside? Because it's sitting there's like a bed sitting right there that came out of the wall in front of you, and it's like there's a perfect relief, but how did they cut out the backside? with intolerance, because some of these tolerances are amazing. You go further up into the Sacred Valley, it's between Ollantaytambo and Machu Picchu. There's a spot called Napa Iglesia, or now it's Napa Huaca, because they consider it a Huaca site, but it's like way up off the beaten path. Back wall of the cave is cut out with one 1/100th of an inch tolerance. Degree angles in all the corners. There's a 3-set sunken door or sunken area in the middle of it. And,
well, when you're there, do you ask the natives like what their interpretation of the history of it is, or you just kind of hang out?
They know how old it is, but they don't know what it was used for. Sitting in front of it is another structure, which is there's like 3 different eras of technology or eras of time there. There's the back wall, nobody knows how old that is. Then there's the main temple structure, and then on the left hand side is like Inca Roca style, where they're building stuff out of cobblestone and brickwork. And so you're wondering, what is this? Yeah, look up Napa Iglesia or Napa Huaca. Sorry, Napa Iglesia, I think is the best way to look it up. if you want to see it. It's one of the most amazing sites I've ever been to because
How's that spelled? Sorry.
Napa, Napua, Iglesia.
At Alante Tumbo, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's outside of it.
Yeah, Brian Forrester also goes
Correct. Yeah.
does some good work in with this stuff. Just
He's a good friend. Yeah. So this is the structure sitting in front of it. On the right hand side, you see the Inca wall, but if you can do the other side of it, the left wall, which isn't shown in these pictures, it's to the left of the structure. Or sadly, it was dynamited by the Spanish. They wanted to see if there was any gold inside of it. But it sits on the other side.
I've heard of that. The majority of all of these just like mind-blowing structures throughout that area were all supposedly dynamited for gold, but it's like they're solid stone. Like what? There's no way they thought that there would be gold in it. Like it was most likely just destroyed to lots of them probably had carvings of the language, the reliefs in it,
they were looking for El Dorado, right, the city of gold, and really sad what they did to South America. It's like, oh my god, they destroyed so many places. Good stuff.
I'm very sorry, but I have to run as my wife just got off of work and is needing me to pick her up. Would you guys like to keep going and like I tune in from my phone sort of thing for a bit? Or do you want to just call it a night and we'll do this all over again because this was far too epic and we need more hours? We need hours of this.
Doesn't matter to me. Whatever you guys want to do.
Sham, Ryan, Luke, you want to keep talk for a half hour? Good to go? Because where'd Julia go? I guess
technical difficulties.
Luke,
we could all catch up at another time. Whatever
I think I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah, because it's like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. over there. Fair enough.
6 a.m.
All right, we'll do this all again.
Appreciate the time.
Please.
Pleasure to meet
Good night, everyone. Peace out.
Thank you. Cheers.
Absolutely. Hans, it was absolute pleasure. Ryan Elkman there, brother. Sadly didn't get to say much today, but for your information, Hans Elkman below you there has done great work finding and bringing to light a lot of mounds, pyramids, and earthworks in Ontario, Canada, Western Canada, and like north of the border where they try to act like the great mounds of the US, aka pyramids, just somehow stopped at the Great Lakes and
right. Yeah, no, we as I told Julia, we need to obviously connect and get on some shows soon. Yeah.
So absolutely. Julia, you there? No, okay, she's not, but sadly I have to cut this. Hans, if you're able, do you mind posting your email in the private chat here, and I will email you as well?
For sure. Yep.
All right, thank you, and we will see everyone on the next one.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
See you, everybody. Thanks.
Much love. Thank you.
You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just BurnEye. BurnEye.